Hi, I'm Hannu Pesonen, and this is a new attempt at my channel. Um, what you're about to hear will be inevitably some kind of stream of consciousness, and also, I guess, some sort of practice with many things, including this microphone that you are not witnessing, but it is nonetheless here, and a very fine microphone it is. So this first one is inevitably going to be more or less tryout, but nonetheless, I really had something of an urge to just shoot the camera, not shoot at the camera, hopefully, and yeah, see where I could go with this, with all the kind of ideas that I've been having off late. Now, I am recording this at a, you could say, historical point of time where we are, I guess, on the eve of the election night. So it's Monday, the 2nd of November, where I am. And I guess there is nothing short of nervousness about the coming U.S. election. So I probably won't be able to avoid that as one of my topics. But this is not meant to be like a political vlog per se. So I guess some words about myself. I am a trained psychologist, and I've done a lot of other, let's say, other things in the university as well. Other kind of training, and indeed, I am also a trained teacher. And I guess I am at something of a crossroads with my career. And hopefully I'm going to be talking about that sometime later this year, although we are quite late in this year already. But let's just say that there's going to be some changes possibly regarding my career, and it is to the extent that I thought it was a good idea to basically utter my ideas, my perhaps different new ideas, hopefully, that arise from this this new life situation that I guess I'm headed now towards. But so that would be one issue that I would like to be covering if indeed I decide to go on with my videos. I guess at the start I'd like to talk a little bit about my history with YouTube. So actually, the first time I heard about YouTube was back in 2006, and as I believe that was just not more than a year perhaps after YouTube had been launched even. So I am happy to say that I was quite an early bird, a huge YouTube fan, even early on, and basically that always kind of stuck with me. I find myself at YouTube quite a lot, if not daily, then almost daily. At some point, then I realized that this could be, this door could swing both ways, so I could actually also myself provide content for YouTube. And in fact, that's what I did. That's some 6 years ago now when I started on that. And in fact, those videos are still here, although I had to kind of made them semi-secret or hidden due to some reasons that I will perhaps go into in some other video. but some of those videos are still there for you guys to watch, and they are basically my music, or for showcasing my music. Sadly, I haven't had too much of a time to make music lately, or even play music. But don't worry about it. It will stay with me nonetheless. And when the time is more right, I will also go into that. And in fact, that would be one topic, perhaps in a sense like a music journalist-ish approach that I might take on another video. But there's a lot of questions now, obviously, because I don't know, those of you who are watching this, I think you know what I'm talking about, that there's just so many ideas that we could have, to create a vlog of, and also I guess a lot of enthusiasm, but then there's that other side of the coin. There's tons and tons of people already on YouTube. And I was just thinking that when I started shooting this video, that I guess it's something we should kind of acknowledge, and also I guess come to terms with that there is this kind of I guess you could say back and forth between, do you just want to do something for the heck of it, that you want to enjoy, just shooting a video, maybe for your friends, I don't know, your colleagues, where you just basically tell things, but you might actually tell them just face to face, barring that there is some kind of hunkering down or stay at home order going on. But do you just want to be talking about things that you don't need a big audience for, or do you have more ambition? And I think that's the thing that we just really need to be quite honest with, that I think a lot of people do want audience, they do want followers or viewers, subscribers, and if they don't, then they're gonna feel disappointed. But I think the good thing is that even if it is a small audience that we may attract, then I think it's still true that that you can still get some ideas across. You may never know who eventually is going to be watching your video, so I think it's a good idea for many of us to be doing these videos, and just basically disseminate our own ideas, our own thoughts, because I think they're going to be of value, and also I think that that's what YouTube was mainly for originally. Along the way, it just gotten more and more professional, where nowadays, you might as well be looking at a TV channel a lot of the times. And I think most of them nowadays they even come clean about it, that it's a full-fledged professional effort behind them. There's a bunch of people, behind those videos. There's a lot of effort designing, planning, and editing those videos and so forth. And so yeah, I guess I'm happy then if people are honest about it, that it is in fact professional effort, and so yeah, I guess I don't have a lot of gripe about it. But I've reached the about 10-minute mark. Being a long-time YouTube fan, I know most of the videos end at around this time. Well, I guess I'm not that your average YouTuber in that sense, because I think I'm just gonna go into my things, or subtle specialities now. So I work as a psychologist, but in fact I've also been doing geography. I have a bachelor's degree in geography. Now, I can't avoid now going into what I think is the most important topic for all of us this year, and I think anyone listening to this will know what I'm talking about: the COVID-19 pandemic, and the ever lingering health crisis that we find ourselves in. And I guess now in 3 continents, or 4 if you view Americas as two continents. And so I guess my approach to COVID is that of a geographer, I would say. But interestingly, I can't quite make up my mind that as of yet would I be taking more of a, I guess, psychologist approach in my coming videos about it. But I guess it's safe to say that there's a little bit of both. Now, the geographic approach, I guess we all know kind of the basic details about the COVID-19 pandemic, and in a sense how it, or where it got started, how it spread, I guess almost simultaneously to Europe through Italy, and in fact also to the US through what I believe the northwestern parts. And living in Europe, I guess we got to a different story, or different in a sense chain of events here versus in the US. But I myself have all this time had a keen eye also on the developments in the US, and obviously also in other countries of America. And it's obviously been in a very bleak picture that's emerged, and it's kind of interesting that it got off really bad in Italy, and that there was some time, I guess even from March 2020, and especially then April, and then when it happened in the US, it evolved through the northeastern states, especially that of New York, where the situation was very, very bad, I believe, in April or May. But then, back then in late spring, people were, I guess, looking at Europe, where that was kind of like the epicenter of the pandemic. But then things progressed, and we in Europe had it pretty easy during the summer, whereas things got really bad in the US during the summer of this year. And now, as I'm recording this, we are again in a very bad spot in much of Europe, in fact. So that's kind of, I guess, the basic narrative. But the geographic perspective, I think that the basic idea there is just to have the kind of curiosity, to have the kind of interest, to be, wanting to have different perspectives to the pandemic. So not just, where it started, in what countries it is in, and how many infection rate, mortality rate. So those are obviously also, those are the kind of part of the main narrative. But how about some kind of connections that you might have? So for instance, what is the impact of it now having a less of air traffic, and even kind of in a more detailed level, so what does that actually mean to have less air traffic? I believe in my country, I don't really even hear much about where all the flights. I think if you go outside, you actually hear less of airplanes. So that's one, I guess, everyday evidence that something is kind of off with the air traffic. But where the planes are flying now in the world, I don't know. But I think that's kind of a geographic perspective to things. And how about freight traffic in the high seas? What's going on there? What's the situation with trade, between, for instance, China and EU? I don't hear a lot about that. I'm going to assume that the kind of lockdowns that we have and the kind of restrictions to our lives in Europe is going to impact also the trade between, or trade coming from China, for instance. And then there's obviously the whole big topic of the environmental impact of pandemic times. I think I really don't have the kind of time in this video to go into that. But yeah, I'm interested for sure in these things, and also I should add that the kind of impact the pandemic will have on the poor countries. I don't know if that's kind of politically correct term nowadays, but I don't know a better word for now. So yeah, let's say the poorer countries, and because it seems to me that some of the poor countries have not been so hard hit per se by the pandemic, but nonetheless, there's going to be some ripple effects, I'm afraid, that we don't know much about yet. So I would definitely want to talk about those in the future as well. So about the US election, and how that's kind of perhaps related to the pandemic. So I guess I'm a little bit wary about talking about the politics, because I am not a politician, and I don't think we as regular citizens should have to have such strong opinions about politics that as a European we think is the case in the US, that as we've heard some people say, that either you are for person X or you are against them. So this kind of logic is, I guess, a little bit foreign for us. So I guess it's safe to say that I'm not going to go too deep into the politics of the US, because I guess I'm just too, peace-loving man to be, having to be taking sides in such dramatic way. However, I will say that the politics in the US is interesting to me as well, and I think it does have an impact on I guess all of us in the world. And so as I started this video, I pointed out that it is kind of an atmosphere of nervousness, not just in the US for the time being. And I hope that whoever wins, that it's going to be obviously a peaceful election night and or day, and that then there's going to be a reasonable process there, then so that we can all move on. And it does have to do also with the pandemic, I think, because the kind of I guess political divisions that we witness, they're not going to help with dealing with the pandemic. I don't think there is room to be of different opinion there. So yeah, let's hope this is going to work out fine. But as a general note, perhaps the psychological perspective of the pandemic. I guess I'm just kind of creating my own opinions and thoughts on that, perhaps kind of like thinking out loud through this video, or perhaps some other videos as well. I do think that obviously the pandemic is a real threat. It is definitely a big health crisis. But also I do think that it is a psychological phenomenon. It is something that we are very focused on now. It's obviously the biggest thing in 2020. And boy, was this a strange way to start a decade. I don't know how many of you have been thinking about it like that. But yeah, very kind of, I guess, unforgettable way to start a decade. And but I guess what I'm trying to say is that it is something that we feel motivated towards the pandemic. We have kind of a natural, I guess you could say, attraction, for a lack of a better word, to follow this topic, and I don't quite know why, because it's not. I don't think it's inevitable. I mean, I guess I kind of think I know how the media works, and I guess it's natural in some sense for the pandemic to have gotten so much attention, but still, you're still kind of left wondering. That's what I would say, and wondering about all the other stuff that is going on now that we are not aware of. And to that, I think I would say that that it's a good idea to have the kind of geographic perspective. So I guess as a whole, I would say I am both a psychologist and a geographer in the way I want to be looking at the world, and I would raise, for instance, the issue of Africa, African countries. What's going on there, and how are they dealing with the pandemic, or do they have some other bad stuff going on, some other diseases that basically we do know about, but we don't track, those developments anywhere near the way we are the COVID-19. And I don't know what you guys think. Does this come as a surprise or not? But I think that is something that we should kind of, improve upon. That it shouldn't have to be the way that we in a way look at things only with one eye, as they say, like that what are the things that we are kind of ignoring now. But I don't want to sound too kind of I guess you could say instructive, or too strong-minded there. That because obviously it's been a difficult year for many of us, and and a sad year. There's been, as I'm recording this, I believe about how many people have died now. That I guess this is what's happening. We don't kind of have any clear picture, perhaps, unless we are all the time at the watching the news. I guess it must be over 1 million people who have died by now, due to the pandemic. And what is the perspective there? I believe there's about 60 million deaths per year on average nowadays. And so I guess every 60th death this year is due to the pandemic then, at least. But anyway, I think figures aside, so so I think I've now laid the groundwork. So you now know that a little bit about what what I do for a living, and I have been thinking about some changes in my career. We'll see how those pan out. And I've also talking about the kind of geographic side to my interests, and so we'll see what kind of let's say how that all kind of mixes together, and what kind of cooking that will create with itself. But I think it's time for me to end this video, and I'm gonna be continuing with these topics later on. But for now, I do hope that you all have a very nice start of this week, and the November, and let's hope the election will go peacefully. Talk to you later. Bye.